Yay, we can start now. Okay. This is the Godot engine, and I guess since this is my first stream on YouTube about this, I'll just, if anybody doesn't know what it is, here it is, godotengine.org, and you can go there and download the engine. The engine is open source, which is nice. It's on GitHub. You can compile it yourself, which is what I've done. I'm running the latest and greatest bleeding edge version of the Godot engine. So any and all fixes I have up to date current. It's great. I've actually had a couple of pull requests. I've fixed a few things in the engine. So that's the nice part about the Godot engine. You can actually contribute, which is unlike Unity. You can file bug reports with Unity, but you can't go fix the stuff yourself. So anyway, Godot engine. So this is where you go for that, and we're going to probably be hanging out some on the Godot docs, and that'll be on the latest or the master branch, because we're masters of our universe, aren't we? Because we're programmers. So I'm going to open up the project. This is the Godot integrated development environment. So you've got these little buttons up here, and for the most part we'll be sitting in the 2D and we'll be sitting in the script views. So this is it right here, sort of a beginning of a 2D adventure game. I'll run it real quick and let you see what it looks like. And let's see, right screen. I'm going to turn off Cadius there, the cat, and we'll run the game real quick. Actually, ooh, what have we got going on here? Perhaps an issue. I am running the latest and greatest as previously stated. Let me close that and we'll open it back up and give her a run again. All right, let's run it and see what happens this time. There we go. There it is. So there's my little character. I can walk around and I can get hurt. I can interact, and I'm still not sure about the interact part really as far as the button presses, but you know, little guys will say stuff. I can pick up items. So when you first encounter an item, he holds it above his head, a la Zelda, because it's very fun to discover new items. But then the second time, whenever he sees the same item, he just picks it up. It just kind of disappears and then appears in his inventory. As you can see right here, he has 2 smelly potions. And then additionally, the screen transitions are, I like them. So it stays on one screen until you go to the next screen, and the camera does what it does, right? And of course, you see a sword floating here, and we can pick that up. And he'll lift that above his head, and he automatically equips that since that's a weapon. I don't currently have a way to indicate which weapon is equipped, but he does have this weapon equipped right now. I only have one weapon in the game, and that's the sword. So now I can actually attack things, and that's pretty much the size of it. I've spent some time on this inventory. You can see I've got some other things I need to fix right there. So I know what's going on there. Notice the darker selection. So if I leave it on that second one and I leave, they're both dark. And I just created that bug just a minute ago, so I can go fix that. But that's about the size of it. I've been working on the inventory stuff, and then just some really trying to figure out the inventory, how I want to do that. And so the world is your oyster, and I see right there that must be foreground stuff. That should be background. So I've got 2 different tile sets. I've got a foreground and a background tile set, and you can see some of that. The dirt particles really don't need to be on the foreground. So I'm gonna just go real quick, and not that any of this is final. I'll just go and remove some of that. And we'll turn back the background on. I'll save that, and let's go fix that bug that I created. And that's real easy. I'll go. So these are all the scripts that I have open. right now. And you can actually, I can actually switch between them real easy. There's some nice little keyboard shortcuts and whatnot. I want to go to the inventory script, and when I do the hide, I want to set selected. I'm just going to say set selected. For now, I'm just going to say -1, and that should get rid of our colorization problem, I think. It should at least colorize the first slot. At this point, I don't have it remembering where you had last selected. I guess I could leave it. Maybe we do that. So if I comment this stuff out, and we head on back in here, grab this potion. Don't even need to grab the other one right now. So then if I start here, go here, close, open. I think I actually set that selected index, don't I? I bet I do when I get into the show. Do I? Set selected. But if the selected index is equal to the new index, I just return. Huh. Oh, but I do set selected to 0. So what I should say is, I could say and selected index. You know what? I think I want to leave it. For now, I want to just leave it such that it resets. We'll just do a reset every time. So yeah, this is GDScript. So GDScript is very similar to Python in that white space is significant, and it's just Python-like, very Python-like, sort of a subset of Python, I guess. I guess you could say. Well, you do, and they do say that. You can also program the engine in C#, so it has a mono backend that you can also make use of. Now that's a new thing in 3.0, and it also has the ability to run C++ code. That is, I think it's called GD Native, and that runs, of course, as you might guess, a lot faster. But for R, in all intents and purposes, this GDScript language is plenty fast enough to do what we're doing here. And that's great. That's wonderful. So the next thing I want to do is probably, You know, that's a good question because, well, so here's the deal. When I grab a potion, he holds it above his head, and notice everything stops. So I'm pausing the whole scene, and then whenever you go into a dialogue, the same thing happens. I basically pause everything except for the dialogue. It's pretty nice in Godot. You can do that by setting a paused state, and that trickles down through from the parent to the children, and the children can either inherit what the parent has, or it can set that to be always process or always pause or whatever. So that's nice. And then when I press X here, we unpause. But if I go into the inventory, notice that it also pauses everything. So if I wanted to use this potion, you know, maybe I should have it's probably what I need is an additional UI, piece of UI, maybe in the upper right hand corner or something like that I can indicate maybe a sort of a left and right hand kind of thing where you're holding a sword and a potion or a sword and a shield, and then you can use whatever's in your hand. So that way we can come through here, and when you pick up something else, such as the sword, we can actually, instead of this, maybe you can push the Z key or the E key or whatever it is you want to have use right and use left, and then it would indicate maybe in the bottom left corner which button you use that with. I like that. I think we should do that. I agree. I think so too. And that's not too bad, because so in Godot, everything is broken up according to what they call scenes. And if you're from Unity, it's a little bit like prefabs, only I would say that it's probably even a little bit more set up, it's a little bit more prefab based, I guess, right? So a scene can contain scenes, and those scenes can contain scenes, and scenes can derive from each other like a class. That's really nice. And I have some of that, so I have in the scenes folder. And if you look at interactables, I have this base interactable, which if I come over here to the 2D view, we can see in that scene I have this. This is an area 2D, which basically is like a trigger in Unity, if you're thinking about Unity. And then you've got this shape. So this is an area 2D has to have a collision shape. That's what this is. And notice it has this little yellow rectangle with the exclamation point, which says, hey, you need to set a collision shape, an actual shape, in order for this to work. And yes, I absolutely do, except this is a sort of a base interactable, and so whenever I have things that derive from it, such as the potion and the sword, I do that in those. And so I'm see these darker pieces, those are actually pieces that are derived, including the root. Those are all they're all derived from the base interactable. That way I can set up a structure and then just use that structure in all of my quote interactables, just like that. So that's how that works. So you have this visual, or this scene root tree node inheritance kind of thing going on, which is pretty neat. So what I have in the UI is I have, of course, the inventory scene. And you can see that I have an inventory description, and that it is very important. We've marked it very important. Therefore, it is quite important. And then we have these inventory slots. And so I've got, in the inventory scene, I've got all these slots in this. This is a horizontal box container. And you might guess what that means. It just orients all of the things, the children inside of it, in this horizontal fashion, evenly spacing them out, depending on these size flags, and of course the grow direction. And see, I've got a shrink center so that it stays centered within its parent as well. And if you notice these little icons right here, the little whatever you call these little things, these little movie click things, that means that this is what's called an instanced scene, and that would be this inventory slot. So I can actually click on this and it'll take me to that scene. So there's your scene inheriting from scenes, and you just got a bunch of scenes. It's all scenes. I've seen that before. So we can take this inventory slot and we can use that in our heads-up display. So this is our heads-up display. And I have this, I believe, let's see, what is this? Mouse over. This is the margin container. So I have a hearts, and that's the grid container. And it appears that I have it going all the way across the screen. And let's not have it going all the way across the screen. Let's say I have it going, let's say 150. And actually, I might want to take this margin container, or this heart container, and stick it inside of a horizontal group, so that I can get what I want. I think I will do that. So I'm going to add an H box, or a horizontal box container, and we'll drag it up here, and then let me do this first. Let's tell the HBox container that we want it to be, see, 30 is too much, maybe 20. we'll go with 20 for now. And then we can put the hearts inside of that. And then we've got size flags, and that would be fill, and we could say, I think we can say expand. I'm not really super clear on, let's run this and see what happens. I may have to set a minimum size for those, which I can do that. Oh yeah, that's right. I've changed the structure of those nodes, and that's why we're getting a complaint. So the node hearts isn't found because I've added this hbox container. So let's call this status. We'll just call it status bar. So then I can come in here. Where was it? Right in the HUD. Okay, see this right here. So this is cool because way you get code access to these nodes is you can call get node, and then you can call a string value. And see, Godot is smart enough to know that we are attached to this element, and then these are the elements below it. So that's what you see here. And then there, it also, which is cool, will tell you if there's any singletons. It'll include that in the list as well. Beautiful. And then you can also, the dot, it's like a directory kind of thing. So a dot means the current directory, which would be the main node here that the script is attached to. If you did a dot dot, that would be one node up. So things like that. But what's nice is Godot has a shortcut method for doing the get node stuff, and that's just a $ before you name the stuff. So I can see it even provides me IntelliSense for that. So I'll get status bar / hearts will give me this node, and that's what I need. I need that container for that, and that should get it for us. Let's see what happens. Again, that size flags may be wrong. Nope, that works. That works. Okay, so now with the HUD, we'll go back to 2D mode, and let's add a couple of instance scenes as children to the status bar. And this little chain button says instance a scene file as a node. It creates an inherited scene if no root node exists. We are given it a root node. We're selecting this one. So we want to go in and grab the UI, the inventory slot. So we want 2 of these, and I think we'll call this, and I keep doing that, I'm pressing F2, and that's not the rename, to double click on it. Let's call this left, and we'll call this right. And let's give the heart grid container a minimum size, just so that we can see what the heck's going on. Let's give it a minimum size of like 100, and that way it at least pushes that stuff over. And we really want these, and we may actually have to change this around some, because I really want these on this side over here, which is fine. We can do that. I can totally do that. We can grab the hearts and put them back out here. So now they've returned to their full expansion, but we can change that layout to, say, the top left. But we do want a margin from the top and the left of about 4 pixels. That works for me. And then we can just go like 100 here, or maybe 120. Then we can take this rest of this status bar, whatever you want to call it. We could go top right, and the size is much too large. We really only want 2 of these. And then we can say margin of, and what's weird is from the right you're gonna have to do a negative, and from the bottom, well, the bottom's fine. The top, it's gonna be 4 also. So 4 down, and yeah, it's just not big enough. So when we just actually, I'm not sure why that margin isn't popping out a little bit more than that. I think that's okay. We'll go with it. So there's our, let's call this Let's call them hold slots. I don't know. Or quick slots. How about quick slots? That makes sense. These are quick slots. So now we'll have to go back in and change the hearts to, I'm going to change it to 150. We're going to change the script once again to go back to just hearts. Hearts. And then we can say, and this is another thing when you're making variables in any GD script, there's a function that all nodes have, and it's called the ready function. And so it's called whenever a node is ready. It's kind of like start or awake in Unity, and it's called whenever the node's ready to be set up and everything. But you can also set variables equal to things by using this really neat little onReady keyword, and that just basically does the same thing. So whenever the onReady signal is called or sent to the script, the variables that have onReady on them are actually set to what you have here. Otherwise, this doesn't work. You can't do that. You have to set the variables in onReady. See, use onReady variable container equals get node blah 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 instead. So that has to be done when the node is actually ready. Otherwise, the structure is not set up. So we're gonna do another one, and we're gonna call this. Let's call it our quick slots. Actually, no. Let's call it. Let's go ahead and be really specific. Let's do the right quick slot, and that would be actually right and left. So we'll just grab those so that we can refer to those in this HUD easily. And let's, instead of container, let's call this health. Let's call it health bar. And I'm going to keep with the convention, which is underscores. So we'll go through and replace all of those. Yeah, I think that's it. So there we go. We've got a left and a right for the HUD that we can set. Our images in. So we'll know what it is we're holding in the left and right hand. And something else we need to do is probably go to that inventory slot, which is what these little guys are. So I'll just click on this. We go to the 2D view, and you see I've got just the base. This is called a 9-slice sprite, which means I can scale this as much as I want, and you don't get any weird scaling. So I've got an image that's set inside of here. I have a count that basically tells you how many of an item you have, and I've got that located in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm thinking now that I may want to align that at the lower left-hand corner. So let's take a look at, that top should really be 4. I believe it's the margin, or the anchor. So if we say left 0, let's just do this. This messes up our margin, but let's go back and say bottom left, and then we'll just change our margin back to 4 and maybe -4, I think. Or was it 4? 4? No, it's -4. -4. So I'm not sure why it's. What's cool is you've got these little buttons up here. You can actually play a single scene by using those instead of playing the full game. And that's a nice thing too. So I'm gonna, that's not, I mean, that was expected. But I want to know why. It must be, do I have a minimum? I may have a minimum size on this. Do I? Let's look at the rect. I don't have a minimum size. It should be up here. Yeah, look. See right there? Bottom, -4. Of course, the top moved. Whatever. That works. So that's that we'll just have our count down here. And let's have our call it use key. So I just copied this, and we'll stick him in the top right. We'll come over here and we'll see. I want 4 below that, and -4. And I believe the left is going to have to be -14, I think. What is our size? Size is 10 by 8. This one's 10 by 8. I think that works. So we could go into the inventory slot. I'll show you some export stuff. It's pretty cool. So if I want to make this inventory slot, if I want to make it have like parameters that you can set, then what you do is you can say, just like this, you basically export them. You say export, and we'll say, we'll call it a key character, which is really what we want. So we'll export key char, and that's a variable. You can actually tell it what type you want that variable to be as well. And we'll see if, I think the exports you can actually set a value, a default value. So now if I come over here in the inventory slot, you'll see this key char here, and I can put a string in there. And actually, that's a good question. Can we make it into just a single character? I'm not sure. No, it doesn't. I guess it's either a string, or you may be able to limit that. I have to look into that. Let's do. Let's just do that for now. So then, I could do an onReady. Well, actually, I have to do a function, because what we want to do is we'll take. Oops, I'm going to grab the ready function. This is like again, it's like a callback in Unity if you're used to Unity. And we will say that, and let's go ahead and get. Actually, no, we don't need to. We're just gonna set that here. So we'll go to the use key, and we'll say .text, because use key has a text property on it, which is right here. So that's going to equal to the selected key character, just like that. It makes it nice and easy. So let's see. So if I was to go back to the HUD setup here, which I thought we already told it to lay out in the top right. I guess we did, didn't we? I'm going to undo that. We just have to drag this back over here like this for whatever reason. 84 by 40, save that. And so that's the quick slots, and then the hearts, which somehow, and it may be that the size flags probably fill. It may not be fill, it may need to be expand for vertical. And then the quick slots probably need to do the same thing. Horizontal, let's just say fill. I really need to look that up because I've been dealing with it a lot. Okay, so now you see we have this little key char variable. So if I want this to be the left, maybe I want this to be the Z key, and maybe I want this one to be the X key. So we'll save that, and let's see what happens if I bring up the game and we run it and see. Yeah, except they're not in the right place. They're like over the top of our hearts, but that's what I want. So I want that to sort of mirror what you have selected in the inventory, in the actual inventory screen. So I'm not sure why. Let's just run this. Let's run this scene and see what happens. It's probably going to do the same thing. Yeah, it's doing the same thing. So I'm not sure why it's doing that, because our anchor is, oh look, our anchor isn't right. Okay, so top right, and notice that it sets those correctly, and then I want to come 4 off of that, and then I want to come -4 off of that, which probably means I want to do minus 88 here. I shouldn't have to set that left. It should set it for me. Let's see if that changes things. That may be a bug, actually, in the calculation of that stuff. Nope. So that's a little bit strange, isn't it? It could be... Let's see. I think I want actually that margin constraint. Let's do 4s, like so. And that, I don't know, that could have something to do with it. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. And let's just do expand for that. Maybe the fill. Let's do this. Horizontal shrink end. And the anchors have reset themselves. Why? Why did you reset? Let's go do this again. Top right, we have. There we go. Shrink end. That's exactly what I want. Oh, F5. Cross your fingers. No. And actually, I think what I want to do with this inventory slot is to take this texture. Well, let's do a little bit of... No, we can't do it here. I would have to go and edit the texture itself. I need to make this a little bit translucent. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll leave that until we get all this other stuff fixed. So we've got the hearts over here, and they're probably on expand, and that's the problem. So horizontal, let's say shrink end, not that end. My anchor for you guys is top left. Margins are 4 and 4. Bottom would be 44 or just 40. Maybe it's just 40. We'll do that and see what happens. Oh, still haven't have it right. Still not right. I guess I really want shrink. I mean vertical. I don't know. I don't think we really need a. Yeah. It's acting like I have everything in a horizontal container. We'll leave it at fill, and we'll turn off expand. It probably has something to do with these, maybe. Let's see. It's messed up my. I'd say 20. And my anchor is. Where is my anchor on the right? I don't want it on the right. Let's do center top, and then we'll just come down 4. Oh, that's the anchor. Whoops. Push the wrong button. Let's undo that. Yeah. I want margin. Actually, let's do custom. Well, the custom constants should take care of that. Let's just do that. Does that get me what I want? We'll check and see. Oh no, goodness. Oh, goodness, no. That is not correct. Alright, let's look at the size flags again. We do not want expand. Just turn that one off completely. It's still doing it. Maybe we want shrink center. That makes sense to me. I mean, at this point, it's all sort of messed up pretty good, isn't it? Oh, and look. No, 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 no. So why, you see, there it is right there. Fill, expand, now, okay. What do we have over here? Fill, inventory. Oh, we're looking at the HUD. We want to look at the HUD. Fill, expand, shrink. No, I do want it to expand. If I turn this on shrink center, it's going to go in the middle, and I do not want that. And I don't want it on the end either because it's going to come all the way over here, and we don't want that. I'm surprised they don't have a shrink beginning. Now that could be that the grow direction, maybe if I do that and say shrink end, that didn't seem to do anything. Just turn this off. You could say fill is not, we'll turn those off. Expand, looks like expand will just do it dynamically. But as I pointed out before, it appears as though our HUD there is messed up. Yo man, that's messed up. That's totally messed up, man. So vertical is shrink center. Maybe that's what screwed it up. I don't know. Alright, look at it. You see these little... This basically means, I believe, that we've changed... Yeah, see, there it goes. We've changed everything from the linked scene has been changed, so we have to go down and do that. Could just reinstantiate it in the game. There we go. Hello, and look at that. That spacing is too much. So I want to. Let's go into the HUD and let's change our margins to something like 1s. So we'll save that, and then we'll come back over here. Look at the HUD, and there's custom. No, it changed that time. That's great. I still don't. We probably still need to change. We need to change the margins here, I guess. We really don't. Let's say we don't want any margin, I think. And then the quick slots, we don't want a margin there. And that looks okay. I guess we could say here, oh, there's a 4 here. Pivot margin. Let's go to a 1. And we could say right, we'll go like 157, and we'll go negative 157. Still should be an easier way to do this. So we'll make it right up next to the... Okay. Save that. Make sure that that actually got changed. Let's try it. You try it and see. Yeah. Yeah, that's much better. I think these are too big, though, too large for what we want to do. So I'd rather have them smaller here. So we took this quick slot. Problem is, I have that inventory slot. The minimum size is 40 by 40. I'm not sure we could get by with 20 by 20, But let's see if we can get by with something smaller like that, like a 30 by 30. But we'll set the current size to that, and then of course this is apparently messed up, or yeah. Oh, I know why. It's expanding, so we do not want size flags. Just no, that's okay. We can deal with that. So this HUD, the quick slots, the size does not need to be 42. It can be 30. But we want to check the inventory and make sure, Aussie, those guys are a little bit smaller now. So we want to take that rectangle and make it 40. And now is that the minimum size of, yeah. If we want it to fill, no, I don't want it to fill. I want it to expand, but shrink in the center. Okay, so that's not, we may have to have a separate. All right, let's back up momentarily and go back to 40 by 40, and that should make our inventory back to where it should be, but it will make our quick slots too large, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, we could scale them. I don't. Scaling that stuff is we could do like 0.9 by 0.9. Of course, it'd probably be something more closer to 0.8 by 0.8. But that kind of, I don't know, it kind of messes things up a little bit. Let's run it and see. Yeah, it didn't even, it's probably reacting to this, the rest of this. So I'd rather, actually I think it returns the scale to 1 regardless of what you do, since it's all layout controlled. So what we might have to do, which is cool in Godot is, let's see, what did we call those little guys? Let me turn the inventory, get rid of the inventory. Let's go quick slots. So we can take this inventory slot, and then we can come over here in scene and we can say, we can save it as another scene, or we can click this and say save a branch as a scene. So you can actually come and save any branch as a scene in and of itself. But what we want is we want to do a new inherited scene, and we want to inherit the inventory slot scene. And we just, that's it, boom, we're done. And then we can change the minimum size here to 30 by 30. And this to 30 by 30, and then we can save this, and we can save it as a quick slot, and we have a quick slot. So that's how easy it is to inherit this stuff. It's pretty nice. You know, again, there are some gotchas and weird things that go on, and maybe we should check and make sure that those things are actually gonna, you know what, we don't really. Can I delete that? Okay, I didn't think so. I can make it invisible though, because we don't want to see a count. We really don't want to see a count in our use, our quick slots. Or do we? Maybe we do. I'll leave it. I think that font's going to be too big though. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And I believe that the things at the end will be drawn on top. And in this case, everything's white. So we may have some issues with these, and we may have to actually stick a shadow on them. So we may actually, see, I'm using just a theme right now, but you can come in here and somewhere you can basically give it a custom. You can give it a custom. I'm going to turn down the. Since, again, I don't know how loud the music is, so I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. You can give it a custom theme. You can give it a custom font. All sorts of cool stuff like that. But of course, we may not be able to do that with one that's been derived. I'm not sure, because I don't see it. I'm not seeing it anywhere. It's all right though. We will try this out. So in the HUD, instead of these two guys, I think we can change. Can we just change the type? No. So I'm gonna have to remove these two, and we'll add them back. I'm sorry. We will add instance a scene, and we'll instance a quick slot. And we do not want 42, so we want 30 by 30. And the HUD is going to be where? Yeah, right there. That probably is what happened last time. 30 by 30, and our quick. Let's run this real quick just as a scene, and check with a single inventory slot or a quick slot. Ka-ching, and that looks good to me. And we'll call this what did I say? Left. And we'll duplicate that. So there's the left one, and here's the right one. And for the key character for that one, we had a Z, and for this one, we had an X. And we'll see what that looks like in these tiny little mini slots. Okay, the X showed up. So what's nice is you have this remote debugger that's going on, and so I can look at the tree while it's running, and you can modify it too if you really want to. So we'll go into the canvas node, look at the quick slots, and make sure. I guess that didn't get. I thought I set it. Back to the HUD. Z and X. Yeah, all right. I thought for sure I set that. Maybe not. There we go. One's a tiny, one's large. That's because I'm using the capital for this one. So let's use the lowercase to see if maybe that would mitigate some of the weird sizing things going on. All right, I'm good with that. Now the next step would be to put the image of whatever you have equipped in those slots. A lot of connections going on here, isn't there? So if we pick up a potion, I don't think that should automatically be added to a slot. But if we pick up a weapon, perhaps we should add that to a slot. Right now, it automatically adds it to slot Z. So we're going to need to actually, we're going to need to communicate with these little inventory slots. So the HUD, yeah, see we have them right here. And what we can do is we can do a set get. That way we can make them only readable. So you can have a getter and a setter function for each of these things. So let's say, because we're not going to set them themselves, we're just going to set values in them. So we can say get right, and then set get. I believe I'm doing that right. Am I doing that right? Yes. So it's just a get underscore or a set underscore with the name of the variable. And then we can come down here and say func get right, and that's just going to be simply. And I've toyed with, you know, formatting wise, I could just go right here and I could just say return right. And of course you have to have the open and close parens. So I could do it like this. And that works. I may leave them that way for now. I'm not sure which way I like better. If I like the compactness of this, but you know, maybe readability suffers. I don't know. So there we go. We now have access to the left and the right quick slots via the HUD, and that is accessed from our singleton, which is called the manager. And I'll show you where you can put singletons. So the singleton exists at all times and can be accessed by any of the scripts, which is nice. It's under project settings, and you go to auto load, and then you can just add new nodes to be loaded, or new scripts to be loaded that way, and that's how you do it. Pretty simple. You can enable and disable the singletons, toggle that. So this one's automatically loaded, and if you notice, if I press F5, and we'll wait for this thing to come up. So if I press F5, you'll see this root node here, and then you see the manager is stuck in the root node, and then you've got the game node, which is my scene here. So it lives, these singletons live outside of the scene node, which is interesting. At first I didn't realize that, and I was trying to do some other things, and it didn't work. So some node access kind of stuff. So these singletons live outside of the scene node, which is interesting. Kind of I guess it makes sense, because you don't want them when you destroy that scene and load another one. You don't want those singletons to go away, because they supposedly don't ever go away. So we've got this, where am I? HUD. So we've got the left and right slots. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. I'm going to close that for now. Matter of fact, I'm going to close several of these. I don't get all these open. Okay. What would be the best way to do it? Let's go into the inventory. I'll show you where I'm setting the image for each of the slots, and it'll be the same for the quick slots. Just doing this simple, very simple. But I have a sort of a database in the manager singleton class right here of all the items. And then I have the actual scene that each of these items, that represents each of these items. And then I have an image. So I have an icon basically that you can get to, and you can use that for any sort of picture that you want to set in those the inventory slots. And then additionally, a description that appears whenever you select it in the inventory, which is a lovely thing, yes. Okay. Let's be nice to the potion and call it a nice potion. So that's how that works. It's really cool the way that Godot just allows you to make these just basically it's a dictionary, but you can have anything inside of a dictionary, which is nice, and make a lot of use of that. So I think what I would like to have in the HUD is to say something like maybe something like this, and then just have the item. So we just tell it what the item is, and then it will say if manager.items .has, I believe, and then I have this ID for the items, which is just a string key. And I was at the beginning using the name as the key, but when you instantiate more than one of them in a scene, Godot automatically adds a number to the end of it. So I figured, so in other words, you have potion 2, and that's a different key. You could go in and strip off the digits, but that's don't really have to do that. So I added an ID to the I think it's the pick upable script that I'm deriving all that stuff from. So then I can just use that, and you just set that when you derive it. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So if the manager has one of these, so let's then go, I'm going to go back to the inventory because it basically does the same thing right here. So let's get the item, just like that. We're going to do the same thing. So we'll get the item, and then we'll go back and we'll say the item, and we just want to do this right here. But we'll have to do oh yeah, set left slot item. So this is, we'll call it info, I guess. So then we would say left, this is the left slot, is equal to info.image, and that should put that image into that. And then what we also should do is we should say else left.image equals null, because we may want to clear it if they drop something or if they unset that. And here we'll just do right. And I spelled it wrong. Even though it was a right image, it was spelled incorrectly. How about that? Okay. So then we should be able to just set these slots from the player. So I have some additional logic down here that checks to see if, I'll show you, when it gets into on pickup. So this is called whenever an auto pickup item says, hey, pick me up. And then I say if the current weapon, so I'm storing the current weapon. If the current weapon is null and the item type is weapon, then basically select that as your current weapon. So there's my current weapon. So then we could come in here additionally and say manager.hud.set, let's say set left to the current weapon. And actually, instead of the actual item, let's just pass it the ID. So we'll go back to the HUD and we'll say item name instead of item. And let's call this, because it's what it is, it's really a prefab. I'll call it a it has the prefab in it. We'll just call it info, that's fine. So instead of item.id, we'll do item name. And cross your fingers, we'll see what it does, if it works at all. I don't know why this takes so long, because I always get this connection failed stuff, which is highly irritating. All right, let's go up here and grab the sword and see what happens. That's what I thought. Non-existent function, set left. Oh, I left off the slot portion of that. Whoops. Try again. Walk all the way back up here. Oh yeah, look at that. I messed up again. I forgot to replace that. That's what this cut and paste will get you, buddy. That cut and paste is going to get you all that call that editor inheritance or textual inheritance. Now let's see if it works. Hey, look at that. How's that for coolness, man? So then we drop it. So we're going to have to, when we drop it, where's that inventory slot? And additionally, we're going to have to automatically, because you should be able to put the weapon in either hand or in either key that you want. So we'll have to figure out how to make that work. The quick slot we may have to store like the name of the item or the ID of the item that is currently in that quick slot. We could do that and check it if we need to, but let's not do that unless we have to. So if current weapon equals item, so in other words, if we're dropping the item and it's our weapon, then our current weapon is null. That might be also where we would want to say manager.hud.set left item to null. And that really won't fly. Yeah, that really won't. That's gonna have to be changed, but it'll work for this, I think. So nz, drop it, and we have an invalid call. Oh yeah, we probably do have an invalid call. Oh, it's slot. Can't even remember what my methods are called, man, you know? It's crazy. Oh, it does. Oh, sorry, I just saw this. eCorp says, Godot looks interesting. Might have to give it a go. Might have to give it a Godot. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's if you've been using Unity or even Unreal, I haven't really I've messed with Unreal a little bit, but Godot's fun. It's just, it's like I said before, it feels simpler. It just feels simpler than Unity, and I don't know, it's different, and you know, everybody needs something different every now and then, right? So this is sort of one of my little projects that I'm doing, messing around with Godot in. I have a couple of other ones too, but so let's see if this drop works. And it works! That's awesome. That just fills me with joy. So now I actually have these cool little item slots. Now they're not complete because, and you see I lost a heart there. Now what I really want to be able to do is come in here and push the Z key or the X key and have it swap those items with the slots. So that shouldn't be too difficult, I don't think. So let's go back into the inventory. So then we can come down here to the process function. So like I said, when I bring up the inventory, I can go over here to the show. So you've got show, and you can actually pause the tree. So it pauses the whole node tree, which is nice because you don't have to implement any kind of pausing functionality or logic like you would in Unity. And then you can additionally set that particular node, like if I'm doing, where's the inventory? Here's the inventory scene. So if I'm doing the inventory scene, all of these nodes have this pause parameter, and you can set it to either inherit or to stop, which means don't call the process function, or you can say just always process. I don't care what your parents are doing, always process. So it's like an unruly child. So all my UI stuff is just set to always process. That way I can easily pause the game itself and everything else in the nodes, and then have all my UI stuff work, which is really nice. Let's see. So inventory slot. I wanted to go back to inventory, and so I'm coming down here in the process where I'm basically looking for these key presses, right and left, and the cancel button. So then I would say, I'd put it right here. So let's say elif input dot is action just pressed, and then this is cool. It gives you IntelliSense for these too. You can add these. I'll show you where you can add these. This is in project settings, and there's an input map tab, and it comes with some added already, and you can add more yourself. So I could add one and call it, call it puke or whatever. Click add, and then now that will appear in the IntelliSense whenever I want to add an action or a button or any type of input. And additionally, I can set any number of keys or joystick buttons or axes or mouse buttons to that, and then I can just check that, and that's what I'm doing here. You've got E for inventory, and interact. There's an interact. There's a use. So really, it's probably not. Well, we'll have to change that, but anyway, that's what that's doing. So let's go back in here and we'll see. Don't remember. Was use the one that use was Z. That's the first one. Okay, so we'll do use first, and again, we may change that later. So that would be the selected. So then we could say we need to also check and see if my music went off. What happened? Oh, turn it back on. It's so not as good without music. Okay. And we want to make sure that the selected index is actually greater than -1, because if we don't have anything selected, we don't want to try to do anything, because here we're gonna have to do several things. Actually, this is probably going to be a yeah, because this is going to have to boil back down or bubble back down to the player, because the player's going to need to know, unless we just store all that stuff in the quick slots. But we'll just do this for now. This is just sort of as a proof of concept, if you will. So I want to do, I think I want to do this. Not slot index, but it's going to be selected index. So I want to grab that selected index, and so that's going to give me this little structure here. And notice that I put that manager items data in there, which I didn't have to do. I could just put the name in there and then just refer to it after that, but or if I wanted it. But hey, that's what I did. It works. So I want that data. So what I would want to do is I would want to say manager dot HUD dot set. We'll do the left slot. Set left slot to data dot ID or slot. Sorry, slot dot data. And again, additionally, we'll have to come in here and do something like we'll have to propagate this to the player somehow, or just store it in the quick slot. Maybe we just store it in the quick slot. That could work. That actually makes sense. We may just do that, but in any case, we'll test it. Let's grab a potion and then see if I can press Z. And what do I get? Invalid get index data on. Okay, I didn't do that right, did I? There's data. Which I get that stuff right there. Slot data. Oh, I used the wrong dictionary, I believe. Yes, not slots. I want to look at the slots. Data. Slot data. So let's try that again. Grab the potion, open your inventory, press the Z. Non-existent function. Oh right, of course. We are yeah, that's a different, so it's going to be that, because that slot data is just an array. Just an array, that's all it is, nothing else to see here. And we have those items stored in there. So let's try this one more time. Inventory, Z, And it is not. That's right. We want... Ah, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. So the object, we have this, well, if it's a potion, we have this. But we really don't have its ID, we don't really have its ID inside of that object. Ah! Well, that's really crummy. Yeah, it is. Because up here, we're saying we're looking for the name and the keys. And then we're just pushing that. We're saying that data is the item. And I suppose we could say, we could add an additional piece to this. We could call it, let's just call it ID equals name. So now we have more data. Yeah? So now that should work, yes? I believe. Grab a potion. In here, Z. Oh, and I'm sorry. I'm going too fast. It's just slot.id. That'll get us where we want to go. Whoops. There it is. Yay! All right. And then, of course, if I grab the sword, it's gonna replace that. Yeah. But I should be able to go in here and say Z. All right. We'll have to. Yeah, we'll have to rejigger some things. And let's go ahead and do the other key for now. I believe that's the interact key. We'll have to change that. And this will be a set right slot. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when we do that. So we'll grab us a potion. Let's grab us a couple of potions. E key. And let's press X, and there it is. I must say, I do like that. And that number probably should show up as well, but so that would be UI.count. So if we wanted to see that, we'd say slot.ui.count. So if we wanted to set the right slot, so we need to add an additional parameter. And we say count equals 1, so we'll just give it a default value. And then we'll say, we already have that, don't we? No, but we can get to it easily. We can say left Oh, we're on HUD. Excuse me. Yeah, I want to look at the inventory slot real quick. Yeah, we can just set the count on it. That's right. Okay. I wish Control Tab would select between these, but it doesn't. So it's really kind of weird. So let's so then that count should show up, I believe. Let's see. Of course, it won't show up if, see, all this stuff's going to have to be, gosh, this is all going to have to be interconnected. UI is just such a hassle. Uh-oh, what do we got? Oh, yeah. That's what we need here is another, this, no, it works. Hold this up, and we'll go grab the other, E, X. And it's set the wrong one. Because I have right here, I've copied, so we need the, oh no, look. Look how big that bug is. That's a bugger bug. Okay. Now that'll work. Grab portion, inventory, sit. And that too is not very visible. We'll have to fix that. Not sure how yet. But the other problem is I can also set Z to be the same. But Z doesn't get the, huh. Oh, that's why. There we go. Now they'll both be correct. So, yeah, that should probably be done by name, I'm guessing. Because right now everything's disconnected, so if the drop should work. Well, the drop will not work actually right now, so I can come over here and select that with Z, and I get the correct deal there. And I can go E, but if I want to use that, the player does not know, has no idea that's in his left use slot, because yeah, he's gonna have to consult when he does these. So let's do a little test. Manager.HUD. I think I can do that. Is it count? Let's just print that just for fun. No profit. No profit yet anyway. Just for fun. So when he picks one up, and if he pushes Z, it should be a 0, and it is if you see down here at the bottom. But if I set it, it should be a 1. It's still a 0. Not sure about that. So if I do that, it's still a 0. Of course, well, yeah, no, it should be a 1. So let's go back to the inventory slot. Yeah, that makes sense. I've got my count text is basically nothing when the value is 1. So I really need to store. Oh, I need to store that count. That's no fun. So let's just do var count. I believe you can set simple variables like this. And I need not that. I need to let's do item count. So it's an actual count, and we'll set this value here too, and let's do max so that we can never set it below 0 value. And then when we get count, we'll just return item count. That makes me feel squishy inside. Wait, I am squishy inside. I forgot. I'm a human being. There's the Z, or the potion. We can set it, and we have just one. So that now when I close and push Z, we get a 1 down there. Pick up another one, push Z, we still get a 1 because he doesn't have any idea that he's got 2 unless I tell him, and that updates. So we need to connect those. Ugh. We need to connect those. They need to probably rely on the exact same data source. When one updates, the other one should just go ahead and update. We could use a signal. I don't know. Have to think about it. I still don't like this over the top kind of thing going on right there. And really, again, these, let's go check that out. These quick slots, this is the quick slot, right? That's the quick slot. Yeah, we need to move this down a little bit more, like right there. And then the use key, we'll put it up here. Let's try it. Let's try it like that. See what we get. I think the use keys look fine. Okay, let's get 2 potions. We'll go in the inventory and say select that. I would put it in the upper left-hand corner, but that would look strange. So you only have 1 sword. All right. Then I'm gonna comment this out. So we got to figure that out. I got to figure out how to do that. The least messy way to do that. Also have to figure out how to save all this stuff. You know, you want to save your game. You want to save all that too. Really, you need to just link to that, and anytime that stuff changes, it should be communicated to the HUD. So really the HUD should just subscribe, or the player maybe should tell the HUD to, or subscribe the HUD to some events with that quick slot. So you could say something of the nature of, you could really do one signal. And signals are neat in Godot. It's like, if you're Unity, it's kind of like messages, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of like that. But you can connect them, and you can connect them via code, or you can use this node tab, and you can come in here and you can connect signals to different objects. But we would do that in code, and the player would actually emit those signals. So you would say something like, you could have multiple signals, and maybe we should, one for each quick slot. In something of the nature like signal left quick slot changed. And then we'd have another, and it would be called right quick slot changed. So that if a player dropped or maybe There's so many ways to do this. If a player dropped the item, we could actually have the item itself emit those signals, and then the HUD, the quick slots would connect to that signal. So when it was dropped, if the quantity changed, that type thing. Because really, if we're being honest with ourselves, the HUD really shouldn't know anything about the actual item other than just the stats. That should all be communicated to the HUD. It shouldn't have the actual item or anything. And right now it doesn't, which is good. Set image, set count, and get count. That's all we're doing with the HUD right now. So it should really just be a one-way thing. So then everything should probably come from the player. So let's just start with, let's call it hold left, and we'll say give me an item to hold. You know that old song, know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em? That's what we're talking about. Yes. Know when to hold 'em and know when to fold 'em. The fold part makes no sense, by the way. It's just random thoughts. Speaking of random. Oh, that's the wrong part of Cadius. I just woke him up. There he is. Let's see. So I already have a hold. It's a little bit of a different kind of thing. That actually puts an item in a physical, or the node in in the tree so that it's visible, like the sword, so the sword can swing itself and whatnot. But for now, we'll go with this. And so anytime you want to emit a signal, you can just call this little function, and I forget exactly. I think it's emit and the name of the signal. Oh, it's emit signal. Okay. Of course, it's emit signal. Emit signal. And then it should have our stuff in here, I think. I thought it would anyway. I believe we can do this. And then any additional parameters can be had here. So what we want here would be the item.id and the count of that item, which would be in the inventory. That's what we basically, that's all the inventory is at this point, is inventory of item.id, and that actually gives you the count. I'm still sitting here thinking that that should be on the item itself, so that when you set, well, yeah, I don't know. Let's say instead of hold left, let's say update left. This at least allows you to be consistently so if I did this, let's just say let's do it here. So update left. And then I guess we would say null. Like that. And let's do this. Let's just have it go ahead and send the count along with it, so it can handle all that stuff. And we'll do, we'll have a default. No, we won't have a default. No default. And we'll update that left. Null, 0. Then we can add a function, say on item info updated, or something of the nature, and we'll say item maybe we should take item name and the count. We'll stick a pass in there right now. A pass will just says don't do anything. Need that colon, and we'll come back in just a minute because we didn't. That's not the way we set this one up. Item. Let's say item name. That way, we'll change it that way because the slot doesn't need to know. The UI does not need to know anything about the item except what we want it to know. So if it's an empty string, then we'll know that we should clear out the slot. So if item name is equal to, or who knows, maybe the item name is equal to null. I mean, we can check that too. Matter of fact, let's check that first, because you know, null and everything. If it's null, let's say item count, or let's just go ahead and set count, because that's one thing about setter getters is whenever you're inside of the function itself and you use the like this or this value, the setter or getter does not get called inside of here, so you actually have to manually call it. So we'll set the count to 0, and then we can go ahead and say set image to null. Beautiful. Okay. And then we can say else we have an item name. Actually, let's do elif. Elif manager items dot has this item name. Then we'll do something And then let's do another else, and let's print error item name not found. Okay, so if the manager has it, then let's get that info. So let's call it info manager.items of item name. And then we can just set the image equal to the .img property of that info item, info.img, and then we can set count to count. So this would be the function that we would respond to, that this event, or that this inventory slot would be subscribed to our one of our two events in the player. So it's just, and usually you will typically, well, built-in functions or built-in callback functions, you'll see underscore. So if it's an underscore function, usually you'll get, it'll be a callback function of some sort that you can implement yourself and get when you get called back when things on the engine happen. So maybe we should just take this off like this. So this is, and for some reason I was thinking that those were private. I don't think that's right though. So I think I'm just going to leave it like this for now, and we will. Where should we subscribe to that? The manager, I believe, gets the player. Yeah, let's subscribe. Okay. I also have a sun that I was messing around with, so I have a day-night kind of thing. It's not enabled right now, but I can show you that later. Let's subscribe to subscribe UI events. Let's call it subscribe UI to signals. That sounds good, right? Also, we have the HUD.left, and we just say connect, and it's object.connect, I believe. Object dot. Or maybe it's node. No, there it is. It's connect. So there's our signal that we want to connect. So let's go ahead and fill that in. And this should probably be in some sort of file instead of pulling these out like this, you know, for being nice to people so that you can actually figure out what the heck's going on. So it should probably actually be a constant in the manager itself. We can fix that later though. So I want to subscribe to this, and I believe the subscriber is the next, yeah, the target. So the target is going to be, or actually we don't even need that. The target will be the left slot on the HUD. And the function to call, right? Yes. The function to call will be our on item info updated. So we will see if this even works. And then we would of course have a right quick slot changed, and we would have this on the right. But we will comment this one out for now because it is not currently here. So when we drop, I believe we added that, so when we drop an item, it should clear it out. We'll see. I don't remember, can I drop this item? I can drop the sword. So let's go grab the sword. We'll put it in the left slot. It's already in the left slot, so if I drop it, hey, ladies and gentlemen, how about that junk? That worked. Okay. I think I can dig it, man. But we need to probably say, instead of this stuff, this rigmarole that we go in here, right here, we should probably say something like manager.player.update left. And we said what? We just had an ID, don't we? We have an ID. Okay. So that's what we want. We want the slot.id and then the slot.ui.count. And then we don't have to do... The question is, will that work when it's paused? I think it should. I think the pause just means that process and fixed process aren't called on that node. But if you call a function directly on the node, it should work. Let's try it. E, and we'll say Z. Oh no, it didn't work. So wait a minute, let's see. That should have. Yeah, that didn't seem to. It didn't seem to work. Let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and add real quick the right one. So we'll go on and do this, and we'll say right. And then we'll go into the manager, and we'll reconnect that, or we'll connect it. Let's go and make sure this is called, and we'll just say print left slot changed. We'll F5 it, see what happens. I need some of them quotation marks, don't I? Okay. Grab a potion, and then we'll push Z. There's the left slot changed. So that quick slot should have received the cat's snoring. Just thought I would let you know. I can actually hear him snoring. Hold on. Yeah, just barely. I can just barely hear him snoring. That's hilarious. Very, very funny. So let's go. So we know that's getting called. So the question is, does that signal get to our inventory slot? So let's check in print here update. So if that signal gets emitted, which I don't see why it wouldn't, it should, even if it's paused. We have some, I didn't see this, we have some errors. Some errors. P2 object is null. 36. Manager. Oh no! Pointer to object is null. Really? Well, that would explain why we're not getting it. $36 and $37. Really? Let's do some sleuthing here. So we had our breakpoint. There's the HUD. So the question is, is it set up? I'm not sure how to tell. Let's go back to the inspector. Indeed. Indeed, he is. He is fast asleep. Oh, no, he woke up. There he is. Is it grooming time now? Maybe it's time for a third meal. I don't know. So is it it looks like it's telling me that that quick slot is here. Let's just step into. Yeah, there's the error. Pointer to object is null. But we HUD. But there it is right there. So I'm imagining. Oh. That's probably what's going on. The everything else has not been set up yet. Since this is a singleton. Since it's a singleton, those items haven't had their ready called. I would imagine that is the case. So we can't connect it here. Unless we do like a what's it called? A deferred call. I'm guessing that would work. What is it called? Call deferred. And we could say set signals, make that a function. And then we could say func set signals. Like so. So call deferred will wait until, I believe, until the next update loop and then call that method. Let's see if it actually works. Nope, we still get the same errors. You see down there? So if we go down here and say, oh look, attempt to connect non-existent signal. Ah. Yes, so of course. Here we go. So we have a connects a signal to a method on a target object. So I believe we have to utilize player.connect, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, it thinks that the manager is the signaler. I guess we could make the manager the signaler. Maybe that would be better. Let's see if this even works. Hey, it works. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. We even get the update and everything. Hey, I'm liking it a lot. Okay. That does beg the question, though. Should the manager be the source of the... I think the manager should probably be the source of that. And then we can just call those functions directly from the player and tell the manager to update that stuff. Maybe? Yes? Or is that the same as just calling them on the... I don't know. I like this. So let's just do this. I mean, I like the signal deal. But let's do it... Let's do it like I was talking about. Let's come over here and have some updates there. And we'll need to grab those signals. What are they? There they are. There's our signals. We'll say signals. And let's be more specific. We'll call them UI signals for now. So there's our signals. Then we can remove the player since we're inside of here now. And our player then, instead of doing the update itself, where was that update? That. we would just say manager dot update left. Let's run it and make sure. Pick up. Go to the inventory, hit Z, invalid call function update left. Yes, of course, quick slot. This really, there's really no need to do that. I guess, well, yeah, it's fine. So we just do the same thing. Down here, we would update right. So we just do that. So we should be able to pick one up, go to the inventory, set it, we can, and then if we pick this other one up, if I got it set up right, it should increase the number, and it doesn't, so we need to go and make the player change that. Okay, yeah, that's why. So if we add an item, that's in the pickup, on pickup. I could use this down here. I don't know why I don't. I'm still not used to it. On pickup. And we don't need to do that. We'll have to change that logic as well. Well, we could say update manager, update left. Are we using update? Yeah, we are. So we'll do item.id. And then we will do, we need the count. Doesn't look like we're actually might not even be up. Am I updating that? Where am I updating it? Probably add to inventory. Yeah, right there, you see that? I see an issue though with this. And that is what I would want to do would be to say update left, update right. So these wouldn't set. Oh. These would just update the item so that yes, add to inventory. So we have add to inventory. We have the number of stuff, inventory slot. So if we update, we don't need that anymore. So we probably need an additional variable. We call this item ID, and it would be empty to start out with, because we need to be able to compare to see if we have that item in our slot, and if we do, then we update the count. If we don't, then we don't update the count. I'm not even sure if this is used anymore. We'll have to do a search for that, and we'll just remove it if it's not. I'm not sure that we're using this stuff anymore. I'm going to comment it out and see if that makes any, see if it blows up or doesn't work. Okay, so item ID. So the item name, so we want to do item ID equals that. Otherwise, item ID equals item name. Actually, we would say and item ID equals item name. Or we could say item ID equals an empty string, or yeah. I still don't like this, because I really would like for this function to, or for this signal to be able to just change everything. But we would have to know the state of each. Oh, man. All right. Let's see what this does. Okay, we are using that then. Where are we using it? Inventory slot. So if I delete, or if I remove all that, we'll comment all that out. So we don't have any errors, and we get this. Yeah, here we are. So this is, there's the quick slot. Inventory slot set image info dot image. Oh, right. Let's just do this. It's a really simple function anyway. And it's just $image dot texture equals info dot image. And then up here, we would just set it to null. How amazing is that? Wow, guys, that's really cool. And we'll have to change the count as well. That's just count.text. So count dot, that's a capital C, dot text equals nothing. And here it would be string count. Just like so. Let's see if that actually will compile and run. Lots of refactoring. Oh, see, I didn't want it to do that. So yeah, that's what am I thinking here? We don't. Well, we do. We do. So we actually want this to say this. So if it's empty and we're just calling update, we don't want to set it, because there's no need to. So we'll ignore those. Yeah, see, and we get this little error because we have this. And that's fine. We'll have to just get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. But oh yeah, we will need that, because we're messing with the inventory slot stuff, and that's what that quick slot was derived from. I forgot about that. So we'll just stick these back in. They are used. They're good. And we can actually go back and do this. Set image null. And then set count to 0. Could do the same here. Set this to count. Now, watch the magic happen! Oh no, identifier not found image. Of course it's not, because of that. Boom. Yeah. So when we're in the inventory, we will utilize, instead of the signal, we will need to actually take those slots and do inventory. We need to take those slots and let's see. Yeah. That's what I want. I want this. But let's go ahead and... Okay. So we'll set... Yeah. Set the left slot, and we'll set the right. That way, the update only works when you're updating the slot, the quantities in the slot. So we'll set the right slot here, and that inventory slot. If the items are right, we should invert these, and we should say if count less than or equal to 0, set image to null, because we're out of whatever it is. Otherwise, set the image to the image of the item. Hold it up. There it is. And we grab this one, and we're still not getting... We not getting that. Buddy, we not getting that, buddy. Let's reload real quick. I'll set a breakpoint there in a second. Grab that one, set that as our slot, and I'm going to go in here and we'll add a breakpoint in here and grab. So we have the item. And can you show me the item? I'd love to see it. That's the potion. What the ID? See, the debugger leaves a bit to be desired. I'd love to be able to... I don't think I can. would be to add. Yeah, I'd like to be able to look into these things, and I can't. Anyway, can I step into that? Update left. Actually, we'll just go here because we'll get this. Or we didn't. Where's our breakpoint? Yeah, we're here. So what do we have? Item name is potion. What about the current item ID? The item ID is not... Oh! That's our problem. That's our problem! I wonder if you can have a blank set get. In other words, you can't. Nope, you can't. Let's do, instead of a image, and let's do just a set function. So you can set item name. We need that. And then the texture and the count. So that would be the item ID. Too bad I can't call it the item ID. It makes more sense. Equals item name. That's what we're having trouble with. And then the image.texture equals texture. And then the set count. So we just get rid of that. And then let's just get rid of this as well. And we'll just take this. We'll do that. And then image will become that. So we'll just have a set function that sets everything, including the item name, which is really what we need. The count's fine. The count's fine, because we may want to update that at some point in other ways. But we could say this, instead of doing this, we could just say image.texture equals null. And same here. Otherwise, image.texture is equal to info.image. And then instead of, because we're going to get, we should get some errors. When we run this. Because we removed the set image, and that was where? Was that in the player? Player, I mean the inventory. Yes. I think. Let's run it and let it tell us. Please tell us where our errors are. I think we have to actually go, since it's a dynamic language, I think we actually have to encounter them first. There we are. Oh, that's a breakpoint. My fault. And we'll go boom, and there it is. Okay, so we want slot.set, and it was name, item.image, and then and this is the count. The count. And then we just can get rid of that stuff. Do rerun. And we'll see if this actually works. Okay. Grab that one. There's two. All right. So now we have to do this too right here. Set set left slot inventory. So I have to do this here too. So it would just be left.set item name, info.image, and count. So we do the same. And we'll need to set we probably need actually an error right here. Error, unable to find item name in items DB. Let's print. Boom. I would think that if we set a count of 0, I would think if we set a count of 0, then everything just kind of, because since there's none, it should clear everything out. Let's do this. Clear item name equals nothing. Count, or let's do set count. Set count. Although this probably isn't strictly necessary, but we'll do it. Image.texture equals null. So if we set a count, if we set a count of 0 for this, actually it's going to be exactly 0, then let's just clear everything. Because we're done, man. We're done. And I'm not talking about clear, I'm talking about clearer. Actually, I'm talking about clear. So that makes sense to me. And of course, that would undo this up here. It would undo this, all this stuff. But I think that's fine. We'll just set it and then unset it. It's you know, that's fine. And we can do the same right here, actually, since we're changing that. Yeah, and then we can also do this. We can get rid of that if statement since it's all in the count. So if the count is 0, doesn't matter anything else, that item actually gets popped right out and it's done. Yeah. Yep. He never gets tired of holding that potion up. It's crazy. Oh, I've got an error. Oh no. I expected 2 arguments. Really? I see 3 here. Invalid set index image. Value type stream texture. Left is a quick slot. Which is an inventory slot. And here it is, set function with let's call it a init and see if that makes any difference. No, man. No, man. Set. That's where it's at. Set's where it's at. Is there some kind of built-in set or something? Self.set? No. Set? No. I'm not sure. Oh, sorry. I'm not focusing on the Cadius. Matter of fact, we can close him. You no longer exist to us, Cadius. Item name, texture, and count. Oh. Okay. I think that's the problem. Is this is a 9 slice sprite and it has a texture also, I think. Sorry, item ID. Excuse me. Actually, that's item name. Oh no, actually now it's not. We want to just return. And that would be item count. Derp. Rerun. Probably should call that count UI or something like that. Or UI count. Text. I don't know. There it is. Set it. Pick it up. Hey, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. Okay. So then I should be able to so we have this weapon. Where did it go? Weapon in player. Current weapon. So that should actually be okay. Here we go. Let's do this. Player has 2 hands. These are the items he being currently being held. Yeah, man. So we have left item, and we have right item. So we get to manage these ourselves. So do we have also, we have update left and right. So we're going to need to look for weapon, current weapon. That's a use. So the use is, I believe, the left item. And the interact will end up being, well, we'll fix it. It'll be use item, right item. So there's the interact, there's the hold item, and actually the potion destroys itself. So does it actually remove itself from the inventory? It just kind of, no, it doesn't. I need to tell the inventory to remove one of the potions. So if user has method heal and user get hearts, heal, remove, oh it does, remove item self, and that is implicit 1 because it's a default. How did I do that? I just made it bigger. I made the words bigger, mama. Okay, yeah, right there, see? That's exactly what we want. And that update left is going to change. We're going to update both of them. Item name and count. So the item name is going to be, let's see, remove item, item.id. Oh, I see. So then we say this instead. If left item equals item, then left item equals null. Let's do that at the end. How about that? So I think we can just do this. And then we'll say left item.id. I'm going to keep this little guy around, but I don't think we'll need it. And then we can say, grab all this. And we can do an elif for the right item. Although we may be getting ahead of ourselves, we'll see. I've got about, say 15 more minutes and then I'm out of here. My stream ends. This is my first inaugural stream. It's been fun. Hopefully it's been enjoyable. I don't know. I was doing some Twitch streams. They've been going okay, but I figured I'd try it out here on YouTube, see what it's like. Anyway, I may come back tomorrow and do some more. So then, let's see if that works. I'm sure that, oh, I've lost my music again. I've lost my music again. I go back to the beginning. Uh-oh. Yes, of course. Identifier not found, current weapon. Yes, we do not have a current weapon. But we do have a left item, which, let's just get rid of that. We'll do an on ready for those. So we start out with nothing in our hands. Nothing in the hands, you know what I mean? 0. I should really search for current weapon, shouldn't I? Here it is. Current weapon equals null. So we'll say if left item equals null. we'll say left item. There's a lot of cleanup here that has to be done. Oh, this is just bleh. Hold the item, the left item, and then set the left slot to the left item.id. And then we can do the same thing. Let's say L lift. Stop that. Else if right item equals null. And let's say and no, let's just leave it like that. So if you pick something up, maybe if I pick something up, period, and there's nothing in a slot, it should automatically be set up. We'll change that. We'll get to that. Don't delete the item, and then now the right item is that item. Yes. And we'll hold the right. Since it's a weapon, we'll hold. Well. Yes, because right now we're just checking for null here. So then we want to set the right slot. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's try that again. I want to run the game itself. And we're still not done with current weapons. So we'll need left item. This can get messy. We would say left item not equal to null and you kidding me? It won't let me do that. Oh, I don't like that. Can I put that on the other line like this? Really? Oh. So if the ray is colliding and the left item is not equal to null, yeah, I'm following this line of reasoning. So we want to check both of those. So if that ray is colliding with either our left or the right item, then we're good. So that should take care of that. And still didn't do the search, did I? No, we're good. Pick out the potion. Pick up 2 potions. We have 2 potions? We do. I'm not going to set anything in the inventory yet. We're going to pick up the sword, and it should appear in the Z column. And should we use it? Yes. Can I drop it? Oh no! The drop doesn't work. Of course it doesn't. That makes sense because I probably am not... Yeah. No. Why does that not work? 140. If ray is colliding and left item is not equal to... No. Well, what happened? I'm going to rerun it. It actually stopped. Totally stopped. Let's see, I can't, let me set the potion as Z and see if I can't drop it. Grab the weapon, hit enter. Yeah, see, boom. So, that's the line it doesn't like. Let's split this up. If the ray is colliding, then let's get the collider equals $ray.get collider, like so. And then we'll say no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I wonder if I can just grab, let me grab this, just undo this. Can I, so that could be null. So then I should be able to say collider is not equal to null. And then I could just say collider. No need to get it 3 times. Scroll box to the left. Seriously, people, come on. Grab. We want a sword here, so we can drop. We cannot drop. Man, that just... I don't know what's... What is a remove item? Is it yeah, not sure what's going on there. Not sure. And as such, let's go so I don't have to walk all the way up there every time. Let's add another sword. Bring that sword right down here. Let's see how far we get. So do we get here? Drop it. Doesn't look like we got... No, we did. We did. We got to the end there. I have a command window. See? It says hi. So, must be some kind of weird thing going on right here. Does it have anything to do with this? Is this null or something? Let me break right here. Perhaps this is where the issue is. Grab the sword. Drop the sword. Oh no. Nope. It's not there. It's here. It's got to be right here in the remove item function. I'm sure I'm doing something really stupid. But let's see if I can figure it out within the next 3 minutes. It broke? Good. What do we have our locals? So do we have one of those? Yes. So inventory of item ID equals, we only have one thing in the inventory, so we get 0. So we've removed it there. And so if left item is equal to item, are we holding a left? There's the left item, object 1215, and there's the item. Okay. Update left. Emit signal. Item has been changed. Clear. Oh, whoops. I see what's going on. You see that? I see it. I see it. Can't do that, people. Can't do that. Because they're calling each other. So let's just do this. Item.count equals 0. Count.text equals nothing. That will remove our issue, and we should be able to continue. Actually, I'm going to have to stop, but it's been fun and enjoyable. Should be able to drop the sword now, though. Acha! Oh, there's a breakpoint. Hurry! Hurry! All right, did he drop it? Did he drop it? Let's see. Yes, and it works. That's a beautiful thing, and I think we'll leave it at that. Thanks for being with me here and seeing some